There are days in a courtroom that pass like any other: routine cases, routine sentences, routine justice, and then there are moments that define everything, moments where the law itself is tested. That moment came on a quiet Tuesday morning. The courtroom doors opened and Richard Sterling walked in. Not just a man, a name, a billionaire tech tycoon. The kind of man who didn't wait in lines, didn't hear no, and certainly didn't answer to anyone. He didn't walk in like a defendant. He walked in like he owned the place. Slow steps, expensive shoes echoing across the marble floor, a tailored suit worth more than most people's yearly salary, and on his face, a smirk. In 38 years on the bench, I had seen everything: fear, regret, anger, desperation. But this was something else. This was arrogance at its purest form. Richard Sterling wasn't nervous. He was bored. The charges against him were serious: driving under the influence, excessive speed, a violent crash into a minivan, a young mother, Sarah Jenkins, left in critical condition. The evidence overwhelming. Dash cam footage, witnesses, police reports. This should have been simple. A man stands before the law and answers for what he's done. But Sterling didn't come to answer. He came to negotiate. When his name was called, he stepped forward calmly. No hesitation, no guilt, just confidence. He looked directly at me and spoke like we were equals in a private business meeting. "Judge," he said smoothly, "we're both practical men." The courtroom shifted slightly. People exchanged glances. This wasn't how defendants talked. "I know what your position pays," he continued, "and I know what I make in an hour." Silence. "I think we can resolve this efficiently." And then it happened. He reached into his briefcase, pulled out a thick envelope, placed it on the podium, and slowly, deliberately, pushed it forward. $5 million, he said quietly, said. You could feel the air leave the room. No one moved. No one spoke. "A donation," he added, "to whatever you prefer. In exchange, this case disappears." For a moment, time froze. This wasn't behind closed doors. This wasn't hidden corruption. This was open, blatant, in front of witnesses, cameras, officers of the court, a billionaire trying to buy justice like it was a product. And the worst part, he genuinely believed it would work. I looked at the envelope, then at him. His expression didn't change. Why would it? In his world, everything had a price: people, systems, outcomes. Why would a courtroom be any different? "Mr. Sterling," I said slowly, "do you understand where you are?" He chuckled. "Judge, let's not pretend. I fund the people who make the laws. I employ thousands. I know how the real world works." He leaned closer. "Take the money. End this. Everyone wins." Then his voice dropped, colder now. "Or don't. And I make sure this is the last case you ever hear." That was it. Not just a bribe, a threat, a direct attack on the law itself. And in that moment, the decision was simple. I stood up. The room went completely silent. Every eye fixed on the bench. "Mr. Sterling," I said firmly, "you clearly don't understand how this courtroom works." I turned slightly. "Bailiff." A pause. Then the words that changed everything. "Arrest him, now." For a split second, no one moved. Even the bailiff hesitated. Because this doesn't happen. Not like this. Not to someone like him. "Excuse me," Sterling snapped. His calm was gone, replaced by shock, then anger. "You can't be serious." "I am very serious," I replied. "You just committed felony bribery in open court." That was enough. The bailiff stepped forward, grabbed Sterling's arm, twisted it behind his back. "Get your hands off me," Sterling shouted, struggling. "Do you know who I am?" The metal cuffs snapped shut, sharp, final, echoing through the room like a gunshot. "This isn't over," he yelled. "I will destroy you. I will bury this court." I looked straight at him. "You can try," I said calmly, "but you'll be doing it from a cell." And just like that, the most powerful man in the room was no longer in control. As the doors slammed behind him, the courtroom erupted into whispers. Reporters rushed to their phones. Lawyers stood frozen. Even his own attorney looked like he had just seen a ghost. Within minutes, the entire building was buzzing. Within hours, The entire country knew. A billionaire, arrested, for bribing a judge in open court. But the story didn't end there, because power doesn't give up easily. The next morning, the courtroom was packed. Media, lawyers, officials, and Sterling. He returned in handcuffs. No suit, no smirk, just anger. His new lawyer stepped forward, sharp, confident, aggressive. Your Honor, he began, my client was not attempting bribery. He was suffering from confusion due to head trauma. A stack of medical papers hit the podium. He was disoriented. This is a misunderstanding. I looked at the documents, then at Sterling, then back at the lawyer. Interesting, I said. Your client was confused, yet managed to offer a precise sum of $5 million in exchange for dismissing his case. A pause. That's a very organized confusion. Murmurs filled the courtroom. The lawyer's expression tightened. He tried again. Threats, lawsuits, pressure, but it didn't matter, because facts don't bend. I leaned forward. Let's talk about the victim, I said. Sarah Jenkins, 28 years old, in intensive care. The room went quiet. While she fights to breathe, your client tried to buy his way out. For the first time, Sterling looked down. Bail is denied on the previous charge, I continued. And for the new charges, a pause. Bail is set at $50 million, cash. Gasps, shock. Even his lawyer froze, because everyone knew that wasn't just a number. That was a message. Money might open doors, but not this one. Months passed. Investigations followed. Assets were frozen. Connections disappeared. And eventually, Richard Sterling pleaded guilty. 12 years, federal prison. No deals, no shortcuts. And Sarah Jenkins, she survived, recovered, and received justice. In the end, Sterling stood in the same courtroom. No arrogance, no smirk, just silence. People later asked me, were you afraid? Of the pressure, the backlash, the consequences, the truth? No, because the real fear is something else entirely. The fear that one day, justice becomes something you can buy. Because if that happens, then the system isn't broken, it's gone. That day wasn't just about one man, it was about a message. Clear, final, unshakable. In this courtroom, no one is above the law, and justice is not for sale.